Okay, well here we are in Terraria. This is going to be a quick tutorial on how to get through your first day. Some of the first things that you need to do when you start playing Terraria. I've created a new character here. I've called him Digger just for the tutorial. Created a tutorial world that I also called tutorial. So you'll notice the first thing I do is start chopping down some trees. You need quite a lot of wood to get started in Terraria. You'll need to make a house when you first start to protect you from the baddies that come out during the evening. So I'm going to go through here and I'm going to collect quite a lot of wood. I'm going to build my very first house on top of this hillside. And so it's basically where the original spawn point is. So I'm just going to clear the whole top of this, kind of explore just a little bit off to the side to see, what's around. Not wander too far off because I really want to get the surface leveled and then construct the house. So you'll notice the guide standing over there off to the side. He's quite helpful. Not. Generally, he's a bother during the initial part of this game. He'll open your house doors and let monsters in and things like that. So there are some techniques, and we'll work on those in a little while, for getting him away from your initial spawn point and building him his own house so that he goes in there and leaves you alone and doesn't create a lot of havoc for your setup. There are a lot of tricks and tips I can show you in other videos as we move forward to try to keep the gels, the little slimy things, and the zombies away from you at night. You can dig pits, you can put up walls that they can't jump over and things like that. So you can make things a lot easier for yourself, but it's hard to do all that before the first night comes. So I would just focus mainly on chopping down trees, maybe collecting some stone. Like here you'll see in a second, I'll grab that copper that's sitting right there because it's near the surface. But at least when you start the game, I wouldn't worry about digging too deeply or exploring too much. Just kind of get yourself established in the world by building a house. Plus you really want to set up a crafting table and get a place where you can craft and start making the tools, the additional tools that you need to play the game. So anyway, here I'm digging some copper ore, and I'm just going to town, dig all that up. So we won't use that right now, but in a little while we'll craft something with that. More trees. Terraria really offers there's an immense amount of customization, and I mean you can build anywhere, you can dig up or take down pretty much anything in the world. So the sky's really the limit, but again, it's when you get started, it's hard to see all that additional complexity or even think of what you might do in the future. So also the worlds are randomly generated, so as you notice, I'm starting up on a big hill, but if you generate your world, you may be on a flat surface, you may be in a valley, you may have desert near you. There's a lot of different surfaces, and there are a lot of different configurations. So my world won't look necessarily like your world. Something else to note, if you notice, I'm trying to put down a dirt block, but there's grass in the way. Grass and vines and things like that grow on all the surfaces in Terraria over time, and they'll even regrow if you're not maintaining or clearing them off. So that's what I'm doing here. You have to clear those things if you want to place like blocks down. So I decided I'm not going to fill that hole in anyway. I'm going to actually just go ahead and clear this and make a big level surface across the top of this hill. So that's what I'm doing now. You'll see that I go ahead and clear this entire surface off. It's nicer to have a nice flat place to build with some open area, so you can build several dwelling places, because there are NPCs that will move in when certain criteria are met in Terraria. So yeah, you definitely want to do that. If you notice, I just went after that slime. Depending on where you are, how accessible your area is, you may be inundated with slimes at the beginning of this game. During the daytime, slimes will attack pretty much non-stop, and depending on how difficult it is for them to reach you will depend on how often and how many you have. So you may get an onslaught, or you may be safe. If you're on top of a hill like this, it's a little more difficult for them to jump up here. They still can, but it takes them a little bit longer probably to get here. So you have some security being up high. Like I said, you can build walls and pits and things like that to protect yourself as well. So those are things that we'll get into in a minute. But now in a clear surface, you'll notice some of the dirt wall is still in the background there. Terraria has an interesting third-dimensional aspect when it comes to housing. It's a 2D game, obviously, unlike Minecraft, which is in the full 3D. But in this particular case, when you build a house, you have to put a back wall up, which will keep monsters from spawning inside your house. That's one of the things about the Terraria game engine is it will allow creatures to pretty much spawn anywhere where there isn't a back wall. So you could actually, once you build a larger house and things, if you don't put a back wall behind it, you could actually have monsters and creatures spawn right inside your house. So the dirt wall is not really considered a livable wall. There are also some differences between the different materials you can build out of. Generally, if you're building a house, you'll want to put a wooden wall or a stone wall or some type of, there are much fancier items. You can build back walls out of gold and copper and all kinds of things. So silver, hellstone. I mean, there are a lot of different types of materials in Terraria. So they're also usable as a back wall. You can craft a certain back wall for those, but again, it takes a lot more resource, and it's generally a waste at the beginning when wood and stone are so plentiful across the map. So you'll notice here too, I'm going to start mining some of this stone. I like to build my houses out of stone. I think it just looks better. It's just a personal preference. It's really not any better than wood. It doesn't protect you any better or anything from creatures. It just looks better. I like the castle kind of look. So what I'm going to end up doing here is, and you'll see, I'll put up a wooden house, and then or I'll put up a wooden wall, wooden back wall, but I'll put stone frame all the way around for the ground, the side walls, and the ceiling. And so I'm about ready to start doing that here in just a second. I ran out of dirt, so I'm grabbing some more dirt blocks so I can just level that surface up there. It's pretty simple stuff, pretty basic. All this is pretty basic. One of the main things that I think is probably most helpful to shoot for are upgraded tools. So even though you won't see it here in this video, soon enough I'll be on a hunt for like iron and more additional copper or gold or silver, so that I can create more advanced versions of the tools, because your tools really define how fast you can do things. So for instance, an upgraded pickaxe is really beneficial because you'll dig a lot faster, and it just makes the game go a lot more smoothly if you're trying to accomplish something. Also, each one of your upgraded tools or weapons obviously does more damage to enemies too, so definitely better to upgrade. Again, I'm just going to grab a little bit more stone since it's right here on the surface, and then I'll finish framing in that house. It's not very big, nothing fancy to start with. You can tell already in the background it's starting to become night, and so those zombies will come out fairly quickly, and you'll have quite a handful of zombies around. So if you don't build a place to go inside and protect yourself, then you have to fight off all of the creatures. And so it's doable, but with the starting weapon, that wooden sword you can see there in my inventory, in that first slot, the starting weapon is not very good. So Here's another thing too. If you notice, I'm placing the workbench. You actually have to put the item, if you want to place it, in your top bar there in the toolbar, and then close your inventory, and then you can click on the item, like I just put the workbench down, and then click around the ground somewhere and place it. Same with doors or anything you want to place on the ground. It has to go in your top action bar, and then you click somewhere in the world to place that. And here I'm going to do the same with torches. I'm going to hang them on the wall, because for something to be considered a house, it has to have lighting as well as a frame and the back wall. And technically, if you're going to build a house for NPCs, you need to also put in a table and chairs. So that's something else, or a chair. You don't really need two, but if you want it to look normal, then you could put 2 chairs in there as well. But you have to have those in there for an NPC to actually move into the house. So it has to be an actual house with both side walls, a ceiling. You don't necessarily need a separate floor. I just do the stone floor because it looks better than grass. But you have to have the ceiling, the side walls, framed up out of stone or wood or whatever. And then if you notice here, like I'm putting back wall up there. You have to craft these back walls at the workbench that I placed over there. Craft them up and then fill in all the gaps so it looks nice and even. You can see I ran out, so I'm gonna have to craft some more. So I'm crafting a few more, then I'll plug up those last few holes, and this house will pretty much be complete. Now, it's not technically livable for NPCs, but it works for my needs. There are things that can be crafted at the table and chairs too, so you'll want those in your own home over time. But for now, I'm just going to build a workbench and go about this evening like this. You'll notice that the guide is opening and closing the door. And in a moment when zombies come, he's going to actually let one in here. And it's going to take more than half my life. So yeah, here it comes. He opens the door. The zombie follows him in. I'm over here messing around making bows and hammers and things. And he starts attacking me. And I finally pull out my sword and take him down. And so just to illustrate too how dangerous this game can be on your first night if you're unprotected, I'm going to venture outside in a second and mix it up with a few creatures. There'll be more zombies here attacking where that slime is, and so I'm going to head outside and actually fight with them in just a second. You've probably realized, but I pre-recorded the video and I'm recording the audio track over that way. That's why I know what's about to happen. So anyway, this should be interesting, and I'm gonna end up getting killed here, so you can actually see what it's like to die in the game. The only death penalty that exists is you'll end up losing half of the money you're carrying. So whenever you die, so it's not a big deal, and you can also travel back to where you lost it and pick it up. So it just drops to the ground, so it doesn't disappear or anything. You don't lose it permanently, and you can always go back and get it. So it's a really friendly death penalty. Nothing too severe that's going to hurt you. You also notice here I can't jump up on the top of this house. Yeah, you only have so much of a jump height. Luckily, you can craft and build anywhere. You'll see here I built a little platform. Also, if you notice, I hammered away that extra wall that I built outside the house. Yeah, the hammer is used to take things down. Now, your pickaxe is used to take down stone blocks and mud and stuff. Here we go. Here I'm fighting and about to get slain by zombies. The bow and arrow is actually a very useful weapon at the beginning of the game, and so that's why I pulled it out. It's more powerful than just about anything else you have, so you might want to pick that up.